Hi, this is Kim from Emerging Creatively Tutorials, and this is ECT TV, episode 23. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about creativity and fear. So you can have lots of different fears when it comes to creativity. You may fear not being perfect. You may fear of looking stupid. You might be afraid of spending too much money on supplies and then never using them. Or you may actually buy some supplies and be afraid to use them because you're afraid you're going to mess them up. I've also had these fears, and my fears are more around looking stupid, being laughed at, not being perfect, and lots of people have these fears, especially when it comes to being creative and really expressing yourself. Fear is there to protect us, but in this circumstance where we don't actually have, wild animals chasing us trying to kill us, it's actually really just stunting our creativity. And then by not expressing your creativity, you will feel empty or like there's something missing in your life. So let me just tell you a little example from my own life where my fear has really stunted how I want to live my life. I am definitely afraid of snakes. Well, I was. I'm slowly trying to get over it a little bit. And in fact, even a few months ago, I couldn't have even said I'm afraid of snakes out loud without it conjuring up all kinds of terrible, horrifying images and giving me nightmares. So recently, I've decided that I don't want to live in fear of snakes. You rarely come across snakes where I live, and the ones you do come across most likely aren't going to be poisonous. So, why am I afraid of them? I don't know why I'm afraid of them. It kind of doesn't matter. So recently, my husband and I, we love to be outside, and we especially love waterfalls. And so we were up visiting my parents, which are a few hours away from me, and there are a few waterfalls up there, but they're not easy to get to. And this one area we were going to is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You drive along on a, dirt road. It's really out in nature. And in fact, you have to go down, and some of the waterfalls you have to kind of ford through the rivers to get to the waterfalls. And I'm trying to be more adventurous in my life. So I was game. So we go to try to find the first waterfall, and we're following through this really wooded path that's not really, doesn't look like a lot of people have used, and we're going along, and my husband was in front of me, and he stops and just like holds me back. And then he tells me that there was a snake in the path, and it slithered off as soon as it saw us, and he told me it was just a small little snake. Now, even maybe 6 months ago, if that would have happened, I would have been immediately back in the car, and the day would have been over because I wouldn't be able to get a snake out of my head. So instead, I mustered up all of the confidence I could and walked on. And my husband doesn't like snakes either. I don't know many people who, there are people who like snakes, but we're not those people. So he just took some precautions. We're in this, stony wooded area going down to this beautiful river, and he, just sort of, we made a lot of racket to let them know we're here, and hopefully they will just go back to their nice little place. I don't want to bother them. I'm sure they don't want to see me. And we ended up seeing some beautiful waterfalls and this gorgeous stream, and had a really fun day. And in the past, if I had let that fear get to me, none of it would have happened. I would have been in the car. I would have still been freaked out. I would still be thinking about them and possibly having nightmares. But somehow I mustered up all of my courage and moved on. And in fact, I should say, a few weeks ahead of that, there was a wildlife expert in our area who does like wildlife shows on TV and stuff, and we went to the show as part of our 4th of July celebration. And I hadn't even really thought about what wildlife he might have with him. So he's bringing out hawks and birds and stuff, and all of a sudden it's a snake. And so my first inclination was to get up, walk away, and be done with it. He was walking through the aisle. I was right on the end of the aisle, so I knew that he was going to come right by me at some point. And in fact, I was kind of in a spot where he would walk and kind of stay for a little bit when he was talking about the other animals. So he brings out, and I don't remember what kind of snakes, he brings out just, you know, the first kind of small snake, and I decided I'm just going to try my best not to freak out. I'm just going to sit here. He's not going to let this hurt me. He wouldn't bring a poisonous, crazy snake through the crowd. I'm safe. I have an exit if I need it. And so the first snake was small, and, you know, I handled it. He went back up. He came out with a bigger snake. And I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, and he starts walking back, and I did leave. I had to leave. So I guess what I'm saying is I've slowly, you know, getting used to the idea. When we were on the path, I didn't see the snake. My husband did. He told me it was a snake. And just, you know, it's probably not a big of a deal for anybody else, but just knowing that there are if there's a snake here on the path, there's probably more. And, you know, I still went forward. It's a step. So we just need to take small steps toward getting over our fears. So my purpose today is to talk about fear and creativity, and it relates to my snake story in this way. Had I not summoned my courage to move forward after knowing there was a snake in between me and my ultimate destination, which was this beautiful river and waterfall, had I not gone through and kind of faced my fears, even though it's just a little fear, it's not even, I didn't even see the actual snake itself, but had I let my fear stop me, I wouldn't have been able to see all this beautiful nature, the river, the waterfalls. And the same is true with our fears about creativity. You can spend your whole life being afraid of, you know, it not being perfect, somebody thinking you're stupid, somebody thinking it's not good enough, and you will be left with this, you know, kind of hole in yourself because you're not expressing yourself, because you're afraid to even try. The truth is, I went past that where the snake was. I never saw a snake the rest of the day. I didn't get bit by a snake. You know, nothing terrible happened. I had a great day. And my fear would have kept me, although it's trying to protect me, it would have kept me from doing, you know, any of those things, or having any of those funs, or enjoying any of that beautiful nature. So when I was a child, I was really creative. I made a lot of cards and drew a lot, and I made jewelry when I was a kid too. And then in high school, I kind of lost all that. I did get into music, which of course is arguably another creative activity, but I wanted to draw again. I wanted to paint. I wanted to kind of learn how to do those things. And so I took an art class in high school, and I don't remember exactly, but I know that the teacher made me feel like I was not good enough to be in his class. So I dropped it, and I never tried painting again for years, or drawing, years. And then a few years ago, I actually did try painting again. I did try making some art, and I love it. I love painting. I love making art pieces. I love, of course, making jewelry, and I've been making jewelry all along, but I started feeling more creative again. I kind of gave up my fear of it not being good enough or it not looking right, and just went for it. In fact, right here is that first painting. So it's a painting, and it's like mixed media. So there's some painted newspapers. I made a flower, you know. And I'm proud of this piece, and I love it. And what anybody else thinks of it kind of doesn't matter to me. And that's how I feel about painting now. So whatever your creative fears may be, whether it's, you know, I don't know how to do it, I'm gonna fail, I'm, you know, not good enough, people are gonna make fun of me, it costs too much, anything like that. And not just that it costs too much, but it costs too much and I'm going to screw up these supplies that I have. I mean, I understand that too. Like, I had a real block against sterling silver for a very long time because it is expensive, and what if I do mess it up? So actually that's why I teach all the time, like, okay, so then use cheap materials until you feel comfortable, and then upgrade it when you do feel comfortable. Practice. That's one way around fears. So whatever your creative fear is, you can face it. You can face it a little step at a time. Like my snake fear, I would never in a million years right now at this moment hold a snake or say I like a snake or anything like that, but I will walk in the path of a snake that is gone, that I know is not poisonous. So it's a tiny little step, but it's a step. So whatever your first step could be, take it. So that brings us to the tutorial I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to teach you a very simple, very easy to do tutorial that takes very little materials that you can do right now. You can do it with kids, you can do it yourself. It's a super cute little ring, and you can feel creative, you don't have to spend a lot of money, and you might actually have all the materials already, but if you don't, it doesn't cost much to get them. So with that being said, let's get to the tutorial. So I'm going to show you how to make a stretch button ring. You can use the same technique to just simply use beads. You can pick up focal bead and some smaller beads, or you can just use just a strand of beads. It's however you want to do it. That might be cute, like for stacking the rings if you want. So however you want to do it is fine. I'll show you how to do it with buttons because I think it's cute. So you'll need a button or two. I'm going to use two because I'm going to stack them. And I'm actually going to use a shank button and then a button with two holes. You can use either or both. This works basically with any button. You need some stretch cord. I'm using Stretch Magic 0.7 millimeters. You know, it doesn't necessarily need to be exactly that. It's not going to make that big of a difference. And you'll need some scissors and some beads. I have a collection of seed beads here, so beads to match the buttons you're going to use. So to start off, you're just going to get some of this stretch cord and measure around the finger that you're going to use, and then just give yourself plenty of room, a few inches on each side, and cut it off. It's better to have kind of a little bit extra than to not have enough, especially when we make the knot at the end. Alright, now we're going to add the buttons to the middle of the cord we just cut. So, if you're going to stack your buttons, you want to add the button you want on top first. So if you would be using 2-hole button, you would just simply take the 2 ends and pull it through so that the button would be like this in the middle, and the wire would come up and back down. In fact, I'll just show you quick. So you go up through 1 hole, and then back down through the other hole, and just have patience getting your cord through the holes. And so then the button is centered in the middle, and then the cord is coming up through the holes. If you were going to add another like 2 or 4 hole button, you just kind of put it on through here and layer it underneath. But I'm actually going to use a shank button on top. So that's pretty easy. You just slide this cord through, and that's it. And now I'm going to add my other button, the way I was just telling you. So this has 2 holes, so I'm just going to pick my 2 ends here of my cord and pull the button right on, and so that will be the middle, kind of the centerpiece of my ring. And now we're just going to add some seed beads. You can use whatever small beads you have, you like to use, and just start sliding them on. You want to have enough beads that so the ring will fit around the finger that you're going to wear it on. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, so I have beaded each end of this cord with seed beads, and you could use, like I said, any bead you want. And then I just did it so that it would fit the finger I wanted to fit it on snugly, because it is stretchy, so you want it to fit snugly. And now all there is left to do is to tie the ring in a knot. So the knot that we use is a little bit different than just your regular knot, so that it's, you know, is more sturdy and can stay closed. So I wanted to actually show you, because, you know, it's going to be hard to see on this clear plastic stretchy cord. So I'm going to show you with a ribbon how to make this knot. Alright, so let me show you on this ribbon how to tie the knot on this ring, and then I'll show you on the ring itself. But I wanted to show you on this first so you could see better. So this would be your ring. Down here is where the button that you put on first would be, and then it would be beaded to the sides here. And so you want to tie a knot, and when you tie the knot, it's going to be, you know, you're going to be bringing all the beads together, so all the beads will, you know, seamlessly go together. So you're going to start this just like you're tying a shoe or something like that. You cross over the ends, so the ends of your cord. And this top one, you're going to bring around and through the loop. And then you pull that tightly against so the beads are all together. And then you're going to do a second knot, and you're going to start it the same way, but don't pull it tight, because then you're going to bring each of these ends around and through the loop again. So on that side, and then again on this side, and then you're going to pull everything tightly together. And then on your ring, you're going to make sure you pull it very tightly, and then just, you know, sort of pull everything to make sure before you start wearing it that it's not going to come apart. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to do it on the actual ring itself. And like I said, I don't know you're going to be able to see it that clearly, but I'll show you anyway. So you start out like you're tying a knot in a bow in your shoe. So you twist the top and go through the loop. And then I just like to keep my finger kind of in there because that way the knot doesn't get all weird. And then you just do it again. And then you bring each of the ends back around through the loop and back out. And then you just pull everything tightly. Okay. And now you just want to pull on the ring and make sure you did the knot properly and everything is tight, so it doesn't do what that just happened. Be very gentle when you do this because your ring could come apart and you don't want all your beads to go flying. And it could be that you tied the knot incorrectly is why it's coming apart, or it could be, which is the case of what just happened to me, you didn't pull everything tightly. So you can even kind of pull the part with the beads on it a little bit too, and hold everything and pull it, and just make sure that knot is tight. And then pull this to make sure everything's fine and secure. And then some people actually use a special glue for this sort of thing and put a bead of glue there. I've never done that, and I haven't had problems. And then you just take your scissors and cut very close to the knot, and there you have it, your awesome new ring. So now that you've learned a little bit about creative fears and you've learned how to make a simple ring, I hope that you're feeling a little more creative. I have an entire 6-week e-course called Rediscover Your Creativity Through Making Jewelry, which takes you on a journey of different ways to discover or rediscover your creativity and learn how to make jewelry. You can sign up to take a free mini e-course to give you a little taste of this by clicking the link below this video and just signing up.